All right, good evening, Willingboro. Thank you for joining us tonight for our second meeting of the month. At this time, we're going to begin our meeting with a call to order.
Roll call. Councilwoman Rebecca Perone.
Present.
Councilwoman Samantha Whitfield.
Present.
Councilwoman Dr. Tiffany Worthy.
Present.
Deputy Mayor Nathaniel Anderson.
Present.
And Mayor Kaya McIntosh.
For the record, the mayor is traveling. She's in Washington, D.C. at a mayor's conference. That's why she's not in attendance this evening. At this time, we will have the prayer.
Good evening.
Good evening again. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Amen. Let's pause. Dear Lord, we come to you this evening. Thank you, God, for one more day, a beautiful day. The weather was not as nice as it was last week, God, but we're just glad to be here, God. We thank you, God, for one more day to breathe your air, to eat your food, to share amongst one another, and to come here this evening for business. We're here for the business of Willingboro Township, God, so we've come to pray for this agenda that's before us, God. It has been prepared, it has been published, and now it's been disseminated, God. And we pray as we go through this, God, you'll give us receptive hearts and minds that we might hear from you, God. So God, speak. So your children are listening, God. So speak through our council, our mayor in her absence, our deputy mayor. Bless them, God. Bless our township manager and staff, and just be a good meeting, God. We don't have to agree on everything, God, but let's not be disagreeable. We pray, God, as we look at things and things are voted, God, that when things don't go our way, God, that you'll be there, God, to help us to understand, God, that we can still get business done by the majority that rules. So bless our meeting, bless our time, and just thank you so much for loving us so. We thank you, God, for your word that says we are to trust in you and lean not on our own understanding, God. Allow us to acknowledge you, God. We love you. So, Father God, your word also says, do not worry about anything, but pray about everything. So even in these things, we're praying, God, that you will be with us, guide us and direct us. At the end of the day, God, you will be glorified, not by the efforts. So God, we know that you are able, and we're praying mightily tonight that you're willing to help us get the job done here in Willingboro at this time. In the name that's above every name we pray, let people of God say amen. Amen. Thank you.
I'd like to thank Reverend Dr. Danny E. Scotton Sr., Senior Pastor at Alpha Baptist, for the prayer. At this time, we'll have the flag salute.
Please stand for the flag salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
May we please have the compliance statement?
In compliance with the Open Public Meetings Act, this is to announce that adequate notice of this meeting was provided in the following manner. Advance written notice of this meeting was posted on the bulletin board in the municipal complex and was mailed to Burlington County Times, the Intelligencer, and the Courier. Advance written notice of this meeting was filed with the township clerk. The clerk is directed to enter into the minutes of this meeting this public announcement. Deputy Mayor?
Thank you. Are there any proclamations for this evening?
No, there are not.
All right. Thank you. At this time, we'll have the manager's municipal updates.
Good evening, council members and members of the public. My municipal update was very thorough when we last met, and really not too much has been going on with Willingboro, just the execution of things that have already been in process. So tonight, we are going to do our budget presentation for the municipality for 2024. It will be not overly substantial, but it'll be a little bit of time. So I'm going to share my screen now, so members of the public and can see as we talk about our 2024 municipal budget. Can everyone in the house hear me okay? Good. Okay, thank you. So this is our 2024 municipal budget introduction. Sean,
Yes, sir.
so they're saying that they can see nothing on the screen, so let's. And it's not showing up.
On the monitors in the courtroom, or
No, not on the monitors.
gotcha. Is that better? Is it visible?
No.
I could actually see it on my end.
We can't see it on this end. There you go.
All right, can you share your screen, Mr. Harris?
Okay, let me. So I've been kicked out of Zoom. Let me. Not coming up. So my Zoom isn't coming up, Sean.
I can actually still see you as a panelist.
Can you share my screen? Oh, let me see. Okay, here we go. I'm sorry. There we go. Okay, there we go. All righty. Sorry about the technical difficulty. So as I was saying, this is our 2024 budget introduction. Our budget preparation actually starts back in November of the preceding year, where during the month of November, the municipal managers required or the department heads are required to submit their request for appropriations for the ensuing budget year and to appear before a public hearing, which is held during that month. We did gather in public session before the governing body, and all of the directors did come and present their budget requests for 2024. Notwithstanding Public Law 1950, in any budget year for which the dates are extended pursuant to actions by the Division of Local Government Services, we are required by law to present our budget to the council within 16 days prior to any extension. For the record, that extension date in 2024 was April the 30th. So we are well in advance of the statutory deadline to present our budget to the governing body. Again, step one for our budget request or our process begins with department requests, which were presented in November 2023 as required by state statute. Willingboro does not have a budget officer. However, our CFO and auditor, who is a registered municipal accountant, reviews all of our budget documents and forms accordingly. And they also help manage the municipal budget during the year. So we are going to get into our 2024 budget presentation. The timeline that we are looking for as today are ordinarily the introduction statutory date is February 10th. We are introducing on March the 29th. As we proceed through the budget calendar, we will be required to have a public hearing in no less than 28 days. That public hearing is going to be held on April the 16th. 10 days prior to that public hearing, the advertisement of the public hearing and the summary of the budget needs to be published in the newspaper. That needs to happen by April the 6th. And then if all goes well, on April the 16th, we propose to adopt our budget. And again, the revised statutory date for budget adoption is April the 30th. And again, we will be well in line with meeting that obligation. If at that time of the public hearing, there are any amendments that are required, if they're required by the Director of Division of Local Government Services, those amendments can be made prior to the time of holding the public hearing on the budget without any additional public advertising. If the governing body also has the ability to amend the budget during or after the public hearing, and at that time, all of the amendments made would have to be read in full and have to be submitted to the Director of Local Government Services for approval before we can move on to adoption. There are certain criteria for amending the budget, except for provided in subsection E of this section. No amendment by the governing body shall be effective until the taxpayers and all of persons having an interest therein shall have been granted a public hearing. So that requires us to have a public hearing on the eligible budget requirements. There are 3 criteria that would require a public hearing. The first one, if there is a new item of appropriation in the amount of 1% over the total appropriations, as stated in the approved budget. If there is an increase or a decrease in any item or appropriation by more than 10%, or if there is an increase to be raised by taxes by more than 5%, unless it is included as an emergency temporary appropriation only. So if one of those 3 criteriums are met, we would be required to have a public hearing on any amendments to the budget. However, the governing body can satisfy the publication requirements if there is a summary of the amendments and the location, telephone number, office hours of the principal municipal or county building where copies of the amendments are available to be procured at no cost. So if you want to come in and pick up a copy, we just have to make it known where copies are available. And again, amendments to the budgets that are required by the director after certification of state aid amounts may be made again without public advertising or public hearing. So this year's budget reflects a 1% decrease in the tax rate from last year's budget. Our total revenues and appropriations for 2024 are proposed to be $49,271,000. And again, we are required by law to have a balanced budget. So all of the revenues that are brought in are accounted for in appropriations. There are some contributing factors that enabled us to get a penny decrease in the budget this year. One of them is our fund balance. The township has been very well fiscally managed over the past several years. So we have a healthy savings account, which is called our fund balance. Another factor that contributed to the 1 penny decrease in this year's tax rate is the increased receipt from delinquent taxes. Persons that have in the past been a little behind in paying their taxes have been aggressively pursued and those revenues collected. And our collection rate has increased, although very slightly, to 96.67%. You'll see in another slide where you'll see the actual percentage from last year is only like 0.04, but that 0.04 percentage equals 1,920,000. So even a slight increase in our collection yields really big results. Some increases in our statutory costs were some of our challenges this year. Again, our PERS, which is our Public Employees Retirement Systems contributions, we saw a 2% increase from last year, going up to 1,258,088. Our healthcare cost increase are projected to be at 35% this year because of healthcare increases and changes. We are projecting a 2% increase in our trash collection. Our current trash collection expires on May 31st, 2024. And depending on the actions of the governing body at that time, we are projecting at least a 2% increase in our trash collection. We are projecting a 2% increase in our trash disposal based on what was expended since 2020. Those are what we call the tipping fees at the county dump. Those rates are adjusted every few years, and we project there'll be a 2% increase in those costs based on what has trended over the last few years. And there was some a substantial replenishment of our unemployment insurance reserves. So those were the challenges that we faced while putting together our 2024 budget. I mentioned our revenue, anticipated revenue is at 49,271,000. What is revenue? Revenue is the taxes that we collect. There are the fees that we charge for services and permits and penalties, fines that we receive. That's what makes up our revenue sources. In our budget, there are really only two categories that we operate under. One of them being salary and wages. And in 2024, our proposed budget reflects an increase in salary and wages due to contractual agreements. And there are some ongoing contract negotiations. But in 2023, we were able to settle 8 union contracts. And I believe we still have 2 outstanding that have been in play for a few years. The other category is operating expenses. Operating expenses encompasses all of the dollars that go out in our budget, our appropriations. So in 2024, our proposed budget reflects, again, a decrease in operating expenses for the various departments. Despite this decrease, departments will still be able to operate at the maximum and provide the services and the best quality of life for residents and all taxpayers of the municipality. When I first came into Willingboro, and we observed, some of the operating expenses that had been appropriated. There were several millions of dollars in excess that were just lapsed into fund balance because they were not utilized. My first year here, we kind of let it ride, but then last year, we were able to decrease that by $7 million. And, but even so, our directors have been very efficient in their operations. So we were able to still lapse about $3 million this year in our O&E expenses. I had a conversation with our directors. We all agreed or concurred that they felt that their departments operated very efficiently in 2023, They were able to do all of the programming that they needed to do in 2023. So we collectively agreed to keep our spending in 2024 to match the dollars amount with some slight increases in certain areas that were actually spent in 2023. So because of the agreements and the consensus with my team, we were able to offset some of those increases and then allow us to realize a 1% in decreases in taxes for 2024. So the cost per average household in Willingboro, based on the municipal tax rate only, will go from $2,856.58 down to $2,830.82, and that is a 25.76 cents decrease. And then these are some of the individual costs per household. If you look at the far right cost or the far right column, you will see the total dollar amount appropriated to each of these different line items or categories. For example, if you look at salary and wages, general government, $156.77 would be contributed from each household to contribute to our salary and wages for general government services. You can look down any one of those particular categories, but you see the total salary wages. Each household contributes $1,159.96 to salary and wages in Willingboro. The next bunch of categories are the operating expenses. And you see, again, based on the different categories, how much each household is contributing to those particular categories. So also in our operating budget, we have to take into consideration of our capital needs. The anticipated related authorization for this year is going to be up to $4 million. And of that, we would be required to put down 5% as a down payment. So that would be an inclusion in our budget of $200,000 for capital improvements. Water capital improvements, those are the big dollar costs that we expend to maintain our infrastructure, our streets and roads, sidewalks, things like that. Those are the accounts that we use to fund our stormwater infrastructure work. And the utilization we also utilize outstanding capital from prior years to also cover some of those expenditures. Our CFO really dug into what I will call prior year capital to cover the funding for a lot of projects that need to happen in Willingboro. So for an example, last week we had a sidewalk cave in on Pennypacker Drive. And because there was an additional $40,000 in prior capital, we were able to utilize that money to repair. We're going to, it hasn't been done yet, to repair. So we are not incurring new debt or additional costs. And because we have been very diligent in utilizing all of those prior capital accounts that haven't been utilized for one reason or another, or maybe there was just some revenues that were left, because the project wasn't as expensive as it was projected to be. We have been reappropriating that, and that too has helped us to keep some of our costs down while still investing in Willingboro's infrastructure. So here is an example of our fund balance over the last couple of years. You can look at the blue columns. Those represent the increases to our fund balance. You will see in 2019, it was just about $7 million. And in 2023, we are just about $18 million. So Willingboro is in a very good financial position to meet all of its financial requirements. And as you can see, along with that, the amounts of money that have been contributed from our capital, our fund balance, to appropriate to the subsequent budgets has also been very stable and up and down and fluctuating. To the right is a chart reflecting our collection rates. And you can see in 2019 where our collection rate was 95.76. In 2021, it took a slight increase to 96.71. But you will see also in 2021 where there was a slight decrease in the amount of monies that were taken out of the fund balance and appropriated back into the tax base. As our collection rates go up and down, it enables us to utilize more of, not rely as much on our capital reserves to fund our budget. So the tax rates are calculated based on the following. There were three areas in which your municipal taxes are made up of. There is the municipal rate, which is completely controlled by the municipal government. Your mayor and council are the ones who control your municipal tax rate. There is the district schools tax rate that are controlled by the school districts, and the county tax rate, which is controlled by the county. The only thing this governing body has control over is the municipal tax rate. And they're working very hard to make sure that that municipal tax rate is being held stable or is going down. If the other areas, their tax rates go up in excess of what the municipal tax rate is doing, then you may see an increase in your tax bills. But it is not due to the activities of this governing body. It is the activities of other entities over which they have no control. This council is very diligent in making sure that the fiscal spending here in Willingboro is top notch. And again, just to show you over the past 5 years, if you look at 2020, the tax rate in 2020 was 1.782. There was a flat tax in 2021. So again, it was 1.782. There was a slight decrease in 2023, and it was 1.780, or sorry, 2022. It held flat again in 2023, and then our proposed 2024 tax rate is 1.758. So again, as you can see, the fiscally responsible decisions made through the past 5 years are really starting to show in fruition by decreased taxes. So what is your what do your tax dollars do for you? They fund your fire, your EMS and police services. They fund your infrastructure, they fund your public works, and just general operations of the municipality. And just as I stated before, all of the salary and wages and operating expenses are primarily funded through tax dollars. So that is my presentation for this evening, and I will entertain any questions that the governing body may have, or as the deputy mayor dictates, from the public.
I want to begin by saying thank you very much to your due diligence, those of your directors, the CFO, on a great job in keeping us very stable, financially fit with the fund balance, and just kudos to your whole team.
Thank you.
To be fair for the community, at this time, if there are any questions, I would be more than happy to allow you to ask them at this time, because it is the budget, it is your dollars being spent. So if there are any questions, can you please come to the mic? Please state your name, address, and you'll have 2 minutes.
Nancy Burton. I live at 35 Beechnut Lane. All our streets on Martins Beach are no parking zones. Streets are too narrow, have been forever. There's an ordinance, there's a code zone for it. Our no parking signs have been knocked down throughout the years, plowing, snow, whatever, but they've never been put back up. So we always have issues when people parking, and the traffic, you just can't get by them. And nothing, every time you call and say somebody's parked in the street, the police don't say, well, it's the street. You're not allowed to stop people from parking in the street. Well, there is an ordinance about it, and there is a no parking area. Every one of our streets are less than 20 feet wide. They barely have enough for 2 cars to go down them.
All right, I appreciate you bringing the concerns to us. The manager I saw has written that down, and we will be on top of it. But the questions at this time will pertain strictly towards the budget presentation. It's okay, it's okay. Are there any other questions from in-house regarding the budget presentation? Sean, do we have any online?
Not at this moment.
All right, seeing none. Questions regarding the budget? Those comments are closed. Thank you again, Mr. Harris, for the great presentation, keeping us, with the decrease, and just keep up the good work, you and your team.
Thank you.
At this time, can you move forward with the ordinances and resolutions?
So the items being presented to you this evening, the first one is ordinance number 2024-4. And just for explanation, some of these items are related to the budget introduction and have to be done prior to the formal introduction of the budget. So that's why we are taking care of them now. The first one is an ordinance to exceed the municipal budget appropriations limit and to establish a cap bank, where the local government cap law provides that in the preparation of the annual budget, a municipality has to limit its increase up to 2.5% unless authorized by ordinance, to increase it to 3.5% over the previous year's final appropriations, subject to certain exceptions. That permits a municipality, when authorized by ordinance, to appropriate the difference between the amount of its actual final appropriations and the 3.5% rate as an exception to its final appropriations in either of the next 2 subsequent budget years. So it is actually creating about a 1% cap bank that we could utilize over the one of the next 2 budget years if required, to kind of offset some of the expenditures if there was a need to. My understanding is that we have passed this ordinance every year, but it has never really been utilized. Is that correct, Ms. Eusebia? Which is a good thing, but I do know that our bonding council, they, for some reason, like to see these ordinances approved in the municipalities, I guess like a backup, I don't know. So we go ahead and we put these ordinances, this ordinance before you for consideration. Next would be resolution number 2024-79. That is a resolution awarding a contract for the 2023 contract repair project. We are going to be repairing a large amount of sidewalks in Willingboro in 2023. Historically, we have kind of hit some here, kind of hit some there throughout the years, but we are going to just dig in and do large segments of sidewalks all throughout the community. So we received 6 bids for this project that range from 175,000 to I don't see the other, or two. I don't see the high bid anyway, but I know the low bid was 175,392. The low bidder was a gentleman by the name of Charles Mandino, who has done prior work in Willingboro and has done very nice work for us here in the community. And many of his projects have come in under budget. Unfortunately, he asked to withdraw his bid because he mistakenly overlooked a section in the bid document, which caused his bid to be substantially low, which means if a bid is more than 20% below the median of all of the bids received, there is some concern about that vendor's ability to maybe fulfill that contract. Mr. Marandino, his percentage was at 28%. So it was questioned. He did realize his mistake, and he did ask if his bid could be withdrawn. One of the other bidders, Landberg Construction, They were disqualified because they submitted their bid proposal on the 2021 bid sheets. So that left us with the next lowest bidder being Think Pavers Hardscaping LLC in the amount not to exceed $216,171. Think Pavers has done substantial work in the township as well. They're a pretty good vendor, so I am comfortable with that. So we are going to ask that the governing body award Think Pavers a contract in the amount of $216,171 for sidewalk and concrete repairs. I'll say concrete because it's not specifically sidewalks, for concrete repairs in Willingboro 2023. Resolution number 2024-8 is a resolution authorizing an application to the New Jersey Clean Energy Program Community Energy Planning Grant. The New Jersey Board of Public Utilities has created a Community Energy Plan Grant Program for municipalities to develop a community energy plan to meet the goals of the state's Energy Master Plan. It is a $10,000 grant that will help Willingboro develop a plan for the future and make investments into renewable energy and to work towards a better environment for all residents by using the state's Energy Master Plan. So we are going to ask that you authorize the submission of this grant application so we could possibly receive that $10,000 grant. Resolution number 2024-81 is a resolution authorizing the Township of Willingboro to award the energy savings plan contract to Schneider Electric. This was an adjustment from a previous resolution. Schneider Electric is the organization that did the municipalities ESIP program. Under resolution number 2023-174, we did authorize the approval of the energy savings plan, but we did not formally give the contract to Schneider, although we approved the funding in the bond ordinance in which Schneider was named the contract, but we are required by law to give them a contract by resolution. So this is just to make an adjustment to that slight error. Resolution number 2024-82 is a resolution for Willingboro who desires to further our public interest by obtaining funding in the amount of $1,344,904 to include a grant from the state in the amount of $750,000, in addition to a possible match of $594,904 from the township to apply for the Jake's Law Playground funding grant through the New Jersey Department of Environmental Protection. So we're going to ask that you authorize the submission of that grant application to the NJDEP. Resolution number 2024-83 is a resolution approving a change order number 1 for the fiscal year 2022 municipal aid program that covered the Bradford Blueberry Lane project. We entered into a contract, like I said earlier, with Charles Marandino for the construction of the work at Bradford and Blueberry Lane. There had been changes in as-built quantities resulting in a cost reduction associated with that above-named project. The original contract price was $267,672. That has been reduced by $75,588 to a revised contract price of $192, and it says $192,086 in the resolution, but the actual amount is $192,084. So that 6 should be a 4. It's just off by $2. And we are asking that you authorize the change order, which we are required to do by resolution of the governing body. Resolution number 2024-84 is a resolution awarding a contract to Farnsworth. I really can't pronounce that second company, but they are the third-party building services for EMS, the emergency medical services. We are required to, we utilize a third billing service to collect reimbursements from insurance companies for our EMS services. We do go out to bid for them, and this company, Farnsworth and Sempti Felter, is that like, okay, right. So they came in at the lowest percentage rate at 3.89%. So we're asking that you award a contract to them not to exceed $38,000 a year for a total of 2 years for a total contract award of $76,000. Resolution number 2024-85 is a resolution authorizing the award of contract for repairs to an Elgin Whirlwind sweeper. I had presented this to the governing body before when we were moving money around in our capital, prior capital to make appropriations for this. We are asking that you just award the contract for repairs to Elgin Whirlwind sweepers in the amount of $43,875 to Grand Turk Equipment Company. They're the ones who have the sweeper or in the process of repairing it, and we hope to have that back and on the road in the next couple of weeks to meet our spring season for have our second street sweeper here in Willingboro. Resolution number 2024-86 is a resolution authorizing the township to enter into agreement with Schaefer Systems International, Inc., a contract to participate in the HGAC cooperative contract number RC01-01. This is a contract to purchase our green trash carts that we utilize for trash collection. We're going to buy several hundred of them at a total cost of $29,701.96. We do purchase a large quantity of these trash cans every year or so, and our supply is low, so we need to replenish. Resolution number 2024-87 is a resolution approving a change order for the installation and repayment agreement with PSC&G in conjunction with the Energy Savings Improvement Plan, the ESIP. During the installation of LED lighting here at the municipal complex, it was discovered that there was an incompatibility between the sensors and the light switches that require the installation of new light switches in some of the offices and some of the sensors as well. Donnelly Energy was able to include the costs into the project, into the ESIP project. So the township could receive the incentives under the energy savings program. However, these changes would increase the customer share of the incentive by $5,869.56. So essentially, we're going to see that less in the projected savings to cover the additional expenses that were related to including these switches and sensors into this particular complex. So we're going to ask that you just approve, which essentially is a change order to that program. Resolution number 2024-88 is a resolution of the township to establish a not to exceed amount for our Oprah attorney. This resolution is appointing Florio Perucci, Stan, Hart, Capelli, Tipton, LLC as the Oprah attorneys for Willingboro Township for the year of 2024 and is establishing a not to exceed amount of $15,000 for them to provide those services during this fiscal year. Resolution number 2024-89 is a resolution of Willingboro Township establishing a not to exceed amount for a substitute conflict prosecutor. That award is going to go to KGMG Law Group, LLP. They will serve as a substitute conflict prosecutor for 2024 and establishing a not to exceed amount of $5,000 for those services. Resolution number 2024-9 is a resolution authorizing the approval of vouchers for payment and the ratification for the March bill list number 2. Resolution 2024-91 is a resolution authorizing an extension of a fair and open contract for grounds maintenance services for Willingboro Township pursuant to Resolution 2022-172. A contract was awarded for ground maintenance services to be received here at the municipal complex, the parking lot, the library, and the firehouse. We did use a fair and open process and did award a $38,150 contract to CPW Management Services LLC from Pemberton. It was a 2-year contract with the option to extend for 1 additional year upon approval of the governing body. The total cost for the additional year would equate to $2,000, making the contract this year $40,135. And we felt it was in the best interest of the municipality to extend that contract for another term at the rates stated. Resolution 2024-92 is a resolution authorizing a change order for a contract with L&L Legacy Construction for the bathroom remodeling services here in the municipal building. Once L&L began to take apart that bathroom, some additional plumbing works were needed, and there was some additional electric work that was required, particularly related to the fire heat sensors in the ceilings and the emergency lighting in there. So it did increase that contract amount by $6,800. And we are asking that the governing body approve that change order, increasing the contract from $37,050 to $43,850 for the 2 bathrooms that are being remodeled here in the municipal complex. The next resolution that I have, I don't have a number, so I'm going to just presume, Madam Clerk, that it will just be in sequence with number 92, but is a resolution of the governing body certifying compliance with the United States Equal Employment Opportunity Commission's NJSA 48:4-5 requires that the governing body of each municipality certify that they use hiring practices that comply with the United States Equal Employment Opportunity Commission's enforcement guidance on the consideration of arrest and conviction records in employment decisions under Title VII of the Civil Rights Act of 1964. So before we can submit our annual budget to the Division of Local Government Services, there needs to be a certification by the governing body that we are in compliance with that. There is a formal sheet that all of you will need to sign off, and I will leave that with Madam Clerk, so she has it at her convenience. I don't know if you don't have it already. I'm not sure. Okay. The next resolution is a resolution for deferred school taxes, and whereas the regulations provide for the deferral of not more than 50% of the annual levy when the school taxes are raised for a school year and have not been requisitioned by the school district. So essentially, when we defer school taxes, we know that a school year goes from usually September of one budget year into June of a subsequent budget year. And this just allows us to not include the 2024 or the 2025's portion of school taxes into the 2024 budget. So we're deferring that portion until 2025, and then it will be included in the 2025 budget to be paid out to the school districts at that time when they request the money. And then the next resolution is the introduction of the municipal budget. Whereas the budget has been presented before the Township Council on March the 19th at a public meeting. The annual budget as introduced reflects total revenues in the amount of $49,271,000 and total appropriations in the amount of $49,271,000. And the six-year capital budget as introduced reflects current year of $4 million and not the next, over the next 5 years, $13,963,736. That would be the total. So we are asking that the budget for 2024 be introduced today, and we can move through the budget introduction process. Resolution number 2024-96 is a resolution to award a contract for the pre-seasonal prep and maintenance of 6 baseball fields. We had put this contract out to bid a little earlier in 2024. Our QPA did receive 3 bids that range from $103,500 to $282,440. There was quite a spread. There were some issues with the lowest bidder, and I really don't want to get into too much detail, but we are asking that this contract be awarded to RJM Landscaping and Design LLC of Branchburg, New Jersey, in the amount of $145,000. The next resolution is a resolution authorizing an increase to the not to exceed amount for Pannoni Associates for the provisions of engineering services to Willingboro Township. Under Resolution 2024-1, Pannoni was approved by the governing body to provide engineering services to the township. Under Resolution 2024-50, they were given a not to exceed amount in the amount of $305,000. We are moving forward with our 2023 municipal road program, which we had received over $3 million of funding from the state iBank. The bidding came in very favorably for that project. So we decided to go to a phase 2 of that project to include 10 additional streets to be redone here in Willingboro. Pannoni has or feels that they don't need additional monies to oversee the contract and the contract management. However, there were just some additional costs in the design and engineering phase. So we're asking for an additional $110,000 be added to their not to exceed amount to cover the additional monies for the design and engineering phase related to the 2024 road project. And I think that was all of the items. I have boards and commissions. Are you appointing boards and commissions? Okay. Okay, so those are all the items that I had to present to the governing body for their consideration this evening. Thank you.
All right, at this time, we're going to open up public comments for any comments related to the resolutions that the manager just spoke about, and you will have 2 minutes. All right, is there anyone online, Sean, that would like to speak?
Not at this moment.
All right, then public comments on the resolution agenda is now closed. At this time, we will address the ordinance.
Is there a motion to introduce ordinance 2024-4?
So moved.
Second. Ordinance 2024-4 is an ordinance to exceed the municipal budget appropriation limits and to establish a cap bank. Is there a motion to close the ordinance?
So moved.
2024-4.
So moved.
Can do a vote. We just moved it, seconded, and she read the title, and
sorry.
then we.
I apologize. You're supposed to
Okay.
do the roll call.
Okay, sorry about that. Roll call, Councilwoman Perone,
Yes.
Councilwoman Whitfield,
Yes.
Councilwoman Dr. Worthy,
Yes.
and Deputy Mayor Anderson.
Yes.
Ordinance 2024-4 has now been properly introduced.
You wanted to move on to the.
Yeah, that's what I'm about to do. All right, so looking at the resolutions, I'm going to check with my council colleagues if they have any concerns, any ordinances they would like to see pulled.
I'm good. Okay,
Councilwoman Perone?
I'm good.
All good here.
Okay, I would like to pull 2024-82. Looking to do that separately, only because the dollar amount was off by $2. I just want to clarify that one. And then I'm looking to pull resolution 2024-98, the boards and commissions, so that we can input those names. So what I'm asking for is to get a motion on a consent agenda for 2024 through 79 through 81. So that's 2024-79 through 81. And then 2024-83 through 2024-97.
Second.
Councilwoman Perone,
Yes.
Councilwoman Whitfield,
Yes.
Councilwoman Dr. Worthy,
Yes.
and Deputy Mayor Anderson.
Yes. So now I would like to vote on the consent agenda. I need a motion.
I make a motion to approve the consent agenda as read.
Second.
Oh, second.
Councilwoman Perone,
Yes.
Councilwoman Whitfield,
Yes.
Councilwoman Dr. Worthy,
Yes.
and Deputy Mayor Anderson.
Yes. So resolution 2024-82, I would like to get a motion amending it to reflect the dollar amount, the $2 change in the dollar amount.
You made a motion?
I was asking for.
I make a motion to amend the dollar amount for resolution 2024-82 to reflect the $2 change. Second.
Councilwoman Perone,
Yes.
Councilwoman Whitfield,
Yes.
Councilwoman Dr. Worthy,
Yes.
and Deputy Mayor Anderson.
Yes. All right. So for resolution 2024-98, resolution appointing for boards and commissions. We received 2 forms from the Citizen Leadership Forums. One from a Christina Chapman Ryan, requesting a seat on the Economic Development Committee, as well as the Environmental Commission. And then we also received another notice from Mr. Titus L. Welcome, asking to be placed on the Willingboro Municipal Alliance. At this time, I
We
make.
also have another
You have a
point of
third?
order. Yeah, there's also 3 submissions for the Ethical Standards Board. That would be Stephanie Knock, Kim Brantley, and Maddie Mallory. These 3 names were submitted.
Okay, so, and as it relates to the Ethics Committee, we do not have a board in place at the current time.
We do have a board, and that's why
Oh.
they've submitted their names to be on the board.
So, Councilwoman Pearl, just 1 second. Let me get through these two right here, and then we can.
No, it's all together.
It's not.
We're not going to vote on it separately, okay?
Uh,
And I'm
there
going
is-
to, again, point of order. The board exists. It's 34-7. Ethical Standards Board establish members' terms, compensations, and hearings. And it says and reads as follows. There is hereby established the Willingboro Township Ethical Standards Board, consisting of 6 members who are residents of the township, at least 2 of whom shall be public members. The members of the board shall be appointed by the Township Council. The members shall be chosen by virtue of their own consistent reputation and for their integrity and their knowledge of local government affairs. No more than 3 members of the board shall be of the same political party. And there's further information, as I read before. So we cannot continue to ignore the residents of Willingboro who have, by the way, one person submitted their name back in January on the 6th. Another person submitted their name on March 7th. The ethical boards consist in order to govern and police the council of unethical standards and behaviors and to make sure that we're policing the police. So I know that you may not be in favor of appointing these 3 individuals who are indeed taxpayers, and they just so happen to be, I'm not sure if they're political party, they did not add it here. However, the point is they are and have applied, and therefore they shall be and will be included in this vote.
Are you finished, Councilwoman?
I am
Pearl?
done for now.
Okay, so as we stated at previous council meetings, that board is on our books, but we are still in discussion as it relates to having a local ethics commission, okay, to continue. Because as it states, anything ethical goes to the state board. So we're trying to look at it fiscally and financially as it relates to these residents and any other concerns. So right now, while we're in discussion with legal, that's not a board to, for us to place anyone at the current time. And for the record, we have no issues with any of the residents who apply. It's just a matter of what are we going to do? How are we going to move forward with that particular board? And it is in discussion with legal. So until we prepare to move forward with a yay or nay, I cannot and will not address it at this meeting.
Again, sir, respectfully, Deputy Mayor, I did contact the Ethics Board.
Deputy
okay,
Clerk,
and
Deputy
it's
Clerk.
been- It has been confirmed
Deputy
that
Clerk,
if
give me a roll
Willingboro,
call on whatever you
point of order, if Willingboro has
Roll
not
call,
established an ethics board, then yes, any complaints would
roll call.
roll by.
Councilwoman Peron,
Absolutely not. Point of order. We are not include all of the names that I've mentioned.
Roll
Kimberly,
call, please,
Brantley,
on
Kim
my
Brantley,
motion,
Stephanie.
please.
No, I'm not. We're not approving
Continue with
that.
roll call, please.
Unfortunately, sir,
Councilwoman Peron,
the answer again, ma'am, respectfully, the board does exist.
next
If
name,
the board did not
Councilwoman
exist,
Whitfield,
if the board did not exist, and I want to address to our,
Yes.
the attorney.
Continue.
You mentioned
Councilwoman
the
Dr.
attorney.
Worthy,
You mentioned the attorney.
and Deputy Mayor.
So,
Cameron.
Yes.
I would like the attorney to speak to this point. The board already exists. The only time you need to discuss a board is if you want to create the board. We don't need to create the board because it already exists. And if we did not have an ethics board, then yes, if there's any complaints that are taking place within the township, then you must go higher up to the ethical boards. Now, how many council members on this board?
Please move over to.
No,
the
no, we're
treasurer
not, we're
report.
not, we're not, we're not, really, we're not, we're not, we're not, we're
There is
not,
no
we're
treasurer
not,
report?
no.
Treasurer's report.
Okay, thank you.
So
Can
just
we
for the
move
public's
to the
record,
approval of minutes?
notice who does not want to have an ethics board. Notice how quickly we're moving past this, and notice how quiet everyone else is on the board, on the council.
Approval of minutes, please.
Is there a motion to approve the minutes? January 2nd minutes, January the 19th, 2024, my apologies.
Margaret,
And February the 6th,
um,
2024.
Ms. Maggie, I'm sorry, excuse me, Ms.
So moved.
Maggie, were you able to review the
Second.
ethical board standards? Ms. Maggie, my question is to you, were you able to review the ethical standards?
Roll call, please.
Ms. Maggie?
Councilwoman
My
Peron,
question is to Ms. Maggie.
Continue, please.
I asked you
Councilwoman
to review
Whitfield,
this board, did you review it, Ms. Maggie?
Yes.
Ms. Maggie,
Councilwoman
did you
Dr.
review, did
Worthy,
you review the Ethical
Yes,
Standards
and
Board?
Deputy Mayor.
Ms.
Anderson.
Maggie?
Yes.
Did you review the Ethical Standards Board Commission that we currently have? Miss Maggie,
Are there any,
Miss Maggie,
any
Maggie.
municipal clerk updates?
Miss Maggie,
Not at this time, Deputy.
did you
right,
review the
thank you.
Ethical Standards Board? Miss Maggie,
All right, so now we're going to approach unfinished business. At this
unfinished
time,
business, Ethical Standards
at this
Board.
time, you can ask your question.
Miss
Thank you.
Maggie, did you review the Ethical Standards Board?
Councilwoman Perone, I did review your code section. One of the additional questions that I would have is what the regards of public member means under that code. As you had noted in subsection 7, there is a requirement for no more than 3 members of a political party to be part of it. That would be information that would be needed to assess it moving forward. In the interim of not having a fully formed board, the matters for ethical review would go to local finance board. They do retain jurisdiction while there is not a board formed.
The board exists. This is the board, and in order for it to form, they have to apply. Did you review the applicants that actually filled out this form? So here will be 1 applicant. So we have to get to 6, right? So if 3 people have applied already, and the objective is to prevent them from applying, how can you establish a board? How can you have members on the board? Because if you read code 34-7, that means it already exists. We're not creating the board, correct? We're not creating the board. It exists already. It's a code in our code book, correct? 34-7.
There is a provision for a board. My understanding is it is not formed. I have not reviewed the applications or
Okay.
been asked to review.
And this is unacceptable because I've already, I sent it to you. I emailed you the code. The township code, I emailed it to you. I said, here's the link on our township page. Here's the code. It reads 34-7, and I didn't read all of it, but I read the first paragraph. So it already exists. We're not creating a new board. If we were creating a new board, back to Deputy Mayor's point, then we'd have to discuss if we want the board, what is it going to consist of? However, this took place in history already. That's why it's a part of our code. And what I have an issue with is, again, ethical standards, that you want to ignore our codes. And if we're asking the people to follow our codes and abide by our rules and regulations, then we should do the same. And if this board already exists, which it does, then how dare you deny a resident from applying? And if we did not have the board that already exists, then it is at then and at that only time that we go above to the Board of Election. We don't have to do that because we already have an existing, just as you just read, 34-7. So I'm not asking to create the board. Why? It's one of our codes. Is that correct? Is it one of our codes?
Respectfully, that was not my statement. My statement was that I had not reviewed the applications. I had not been sent the applications. I do not know.
It's right here. They're right here. It's a piece of paper, it's their name, their address. That's it. It's not a formal like resume, just like the boards that for all the other positions. So it's not an application necessarily. And so it's just a piece of paper. What I asked you to do was to read the code. As our solicitor, I'm expecting that you are hired here to make sure that no matter if we agree or not, that you stay neutral and you speak to the laws. Whether Mayor, Deputy Mayor likes what I'm saying or not, or whether Councilman Worthy is not going to speak up, it does not matter. I'm expecting for you to be the neutral person and to speak to the laws, and that is it. If this law already exists, which it does, 34-7 exists already. So where's the discussion to create? There is no discussion.
I did not say to create.
Okay.
It's matter of whether or not it is fully formed. It
Oh.
is not fully formed with 6 members at this point.
Oh, and
That
how-
was my,
How do we get members on the board? What should we do? Right here. Yes? Do you disagree? Do you disagree? This is how it's done. Yes?
you would have applications and appointments.
Here's one.
Yeah.
Here's one. Appointment. So now the person has applied. Now we vote. Councilman Worthy, are you an objection to a resident applying to the Ethics Board? My question is to you.
Councilwoman Perone, we've.
I'm asking you a direct question. Do you have an issue with people that live here applying to the Ethics Board? Because 3 people have already applied.
We've already discussed.
Do you have an issue with the 3 people? We already know
Asked-
Councilman Anderson, Deputy Mayor Anderson has an issue with it. My question is to you.
Meetings.
A no response is you have an issue. We have 2 members that have an issue with ethics. I wonder why. I wonder why. Okay, so therefore our solicitor has confirmed the code does exist. And therefore, applicants can apply. And right now we have 3. We need 3 more. Republicans or independents, please apply. Okay, so I'm not gonna allow Councilman Anderson to continue
You have 30
unethical
seconds to
practices.
finish
I'm
your-
done.
to your-
I'm already done.
Okay, thank you for being done. Any more unfinished business? Okay, seeing none. Anything for new business? All right, seeing there's new business, at this time, we're gonna open up public comments. You have 4 minutes. Anybody in-house wishes to come to the mic?
Hi, folks, ladies and gentlemen. My name's Maria Boyer. I live at 29 Beech Nut Lane, and that's in Martins Creek. Can you pass these over? I know I have to be quick. Just gonna tell you what my neighbors and I are here for. It's the increased traffic and speeding along Beech Nut Lane since the opening at Troy and Beech Nut Lane. We have no more closure there. It used to be closed for 40 years. The back 2 pages are 2 articles from 1978, when it was closed and council approved it with no ordinance, with no state. The state said they didn't have to be involved. And it was closed for emergency vehicles only. And rubber, those foam things, they're rubber, where the trucks could go in and out, but it wasn't open to traffic until 2020, when your contractor, you mentioned him today, the pump station had been approved. The safety director approved it with no concrete curbs, Lambert Construction. And when that was done, I guess the utility trucks, they opened that, Troy, and that's back in 2020. There was originally the poles, the flexible poles, and then there was this permanent structure. Well, it was gone. And now what we have is increased traffic. It's 17 feet wide in front of my house. It's 24 feet on Tiffany Lane. It's 16 feet at the pumping station, and that's a hairpin curve. Another hairpin curve is also noted in the article, the second article after it was approved, and that's when you come out of Troy Lane. And then it's a dead end. We have a one-way in and a one-way out on JFK Boulevard. I have pictures here of people disregarding, coming in the one way, the wrong way, going out the wrong way. You know, you have to have eyes in back of your head. And now with so much new traffic in the morning with school, in the afternoon with school, rush hour traffic now we have when it was only us. You cannot have a truck and a car go, nothing bigger than an F-150. You stay behind the trash people and the recycles. You don't go around them. You don't go up on people's lawns. I had car rush up on my lawn and my neighbor up on my lawn to my driveway to make a U-turn. I was coming down the street. I stopped him. Now, if my grandson and I were out there playing ball, one of us would have got killed. I can't walk my 6-month-old granddaughter in a stroller. We have no sidewalks. You stay close to the edge. And people are blowing their horns. Now, my neighbors are going to speak. I have some pictures. You're welcome to look at them. Curbs are destroyed. Some of the streets, some of the guy going the wrong way. We really need, before any of those accidents start again, that we're in 78, you can have these. I have my neighbors here to speak their individual conflicts. What has happened. I thank you for your time.
Hi, we are Jania Cassandra Hunter. We live at 39 Beech Nut Lane. Our home is the home that actually intersects with Troy Lane. So we get cars up on our lawn coming out of Troy Lane. I can't tell you how many times our mailbox has been destroyed, knocked over. We've had cars up on our lawn. And again, if we had our grandchildren out there, something, you know, someone could get hurt. We also live at the blind curve coming down Beech Nut Lane. We can no longer back in our driveway because we've been almost T-boned a few times by speeding cars. So when we used to could do that and feel safe, we can no longer do that because it's a blind curve and they're speeding.
Well, my wife covered everything. know?
But it's just a lot of traffic since the box has been going. I don't care if it's a permanent structure, doesn't go back, but something needs to happen.
Yes, and pardon me, and it scared me. Got a little anxiety here. Like my wife said, not only that the mailbox have been knocked down, the lawn has been tore. It's no room for large vehicles to come down Troy Lane and to make, we have tractor trailers that actually, they looking at a GPS and they're trying to come down Troy Lane and make a left or right on Beech Nut, and they can't fit. So what they do, they knock down our mailbox, they tear up the lawn, and then when you make the left off of Troy, there is nowhere to go. It's a dead end. Now they're trying to back down and they're tearing up the neighbor's property. And my neighbor to my right, 41 Beech Nut Lane, has a horseshoe driveway. You have people literally coming on this man's property, trying to go around his horseshoe driveway. So we're newcomers to the neighborhood, so we've been here since 2016.
2018.
Okay, so we're relatively new, and what attracted us to this property was the comfort and the low traffic that comes through there and everything. So it was a diamond in the rough, but now it's just a rough. Okay, just because of the removal of the flower box, but it's really dangerous. I have beautiful granddaughters, and I wouldn't want them to be out there playing and someone come through there and hurt my grandchildren. And not only that, when you're coming out of Troy Lane, it looked like it can continue. I don't want nobody inside. My bedroom is right there. And at any moment, I'm just expecting a car to come speeding down there in the dark and land up in my own bedroom. So it's a serious concern. I wish, I'm not here to demand anything, but I just want you to hear the neighbors' cries and just try to have a little understanding of what's going on down here at Beech Nut Lane. Because the removal, and when they was out there removing the flower box, I was told they was coming back to put it back in at the time they was removing it. But like
Or was that removed?
2020.
2020,
Okay.
Spring.
and they said they was coming to put it back, but it's
had
wide
pandemic.
open and it's a major problem. And before anybody else get hurt,
We asked for something.
try to do something. I don't know if it's the flower box. I don't know if it's sponge poles, whatever we can get done there. We appreciate it if y'all take it in consideration and keep our children, our dogs,
And home.
and our homes in mind. Thank you.
Thank
All
you.
right. Thank you very much. I appreciate you coming in, because unless we hear your voices, sometimes we just don't know. So we don't look at it as you're complaining. It's being informative to us. So now it allows us to take into consideration what's being said from each of your views. This way we can assess it, get with the manager, and see what can be done. So we do appreciate it. So whatever you have to say, feel free to come to these meetings to discuss with the council.
Hi, I'm Sherry Lynn. I'm at 19 Beech Nut Lane. I'm on the hairpin turn. I was walking just the other day and I had two cars coming at me. I'm guessing from the high school. They were some kids, two cars trying to race side by side on that road and nearly took me out. Had to jump up on, there's no sidewalk, so it was on the grass. And I went up speaking to one of my other neighbors and we actually stood and counted. Within 20 minutes, there were 20 cars coming down our street, I guess from the high school through our development. I mean, they're just flying through there. It's dangerous. I've been there since 1997. It was always closed off. It was nice and quiet. All of us neighbors get along great. We have, peace and quiet back there. And now it's mayhem every day. People driving like maniacs, blowing the horns, UPS drivers, FedEx drivers. And I mean, they're taking that turn on that corner. It's really scary when I'm trying to back out of my driveway because I'm on that bend. So I'm right by the pump house where the water shed is over there. So that's my story. Who's next?
Thank you.
Thank you.
John Burton at 35 Beech Nut. I know, I kind of would just like to reinforce what the hunter said. We need help, and I gather you now are informed and can make a response for us. The traffic has been terrible, but it's, I'm not quite sure of the theme, but the traffic light theme with the trash in town, the big billboards, you know, not throwing the trash. So aside from the safety, the trash, we've lost our corner. We're on one of the other corners. It's my wife grew up there, and the one motorcycle accident happened right on my front wall, you know, the border wall. So these things were happening because motorcycles could slip through there before, you know, but now it's two cars, and it's really, the traffic is really bad. The trash, and it is not safe to walk on the streets. And a lot of the residents from Twin Hills walk along there and then back around the high school, you know, just on leisurely strolls or exercise. It is not safe for them. And I guess that's it. Appreciate your help.
My name's Ginger Matthews. I live at 7 Catalpa Lane, but it's a piece of property where my yard is Beech Nut and Catalpa. I have people coming down the street, driving through my front yard to get to the other street. They are actually drug trafficking in my front yard. They will come from Troy, park on the corner of Beech Nut, run from Catalpa across, deal drugs right in my front yard. That never happened. And also, like, from all the traffic, my curb is destroyed. If you've seen pictures of my curb, that they actually said they were gonna replace the curbs, I'm thinking it was like in 2020. They did the streets, but they never did the curbs. So now that the traffic's worse, they're just tearing it up because the trucks don't have room when they go up on my curb, because my fence, like I said, I am on both streets. It's an angle. When the trucks go up on my curb, they rip my entire curb out into the middle of the road. And now that it's open, it's worse because it's constant. You can't get a trash truck down there if somebody's in the street or somebody's coming the opposite direction. Thank you.
Hi, my name's John Hanning. I live at 27 Beech Nut Lane. I've lived there for over 20 years, up until 2020 when the flower box was on Troy Lane. We had very little problems. I noticed at the beginning of this meeting that they were talking about taxes. My taxes are about $16,000 a year. So I think we're making our fair share of tax contribution to this township. And, you know, the people drive through there that don't live in that neighborhood, so they don't seem to have a care about throwing trash out there and driving way over the speed limit. So I, with the rest of my neighbors here, I believe that the Township of Willingboro should take a look at this and take some appropriate action. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, John.
My name is Rich Allsbach, 15 Beech Nut Lane. Been there since like 1990 or so. I'm at the other end of the street. When you come in off of JFK, it's one way in. It's clearly marked at that point. But when you're leaving Beech Nut to go back to JFK, you have to veer to the right. There used to be an arrow painted in the street. When they repaved the street, they never put the arrow back in the street. There's also only a single small one-way sign at that point. I see the UPS guys and the FedEx guys going down the wrong way. At JFK and Beach Nut, it's narrow there. It's a blind turn. I've seen cars almost head on each other because of that. And the speeding and everything else going on there too just adds to it. But, see if we can do something with that too.
All right. Thank you very much, Rich. Any more? Normally we don't, but because of the scenario here, I will go ahead and allow it.
It's really important because I just want you to just keep in mind that when these large vehicles and trucks come in, then they trying to back out, they have hit the power lines. And the plastic casing that covers part of the line, they have cracked it and broke it. So that could become a very serious tragedy if they, because those are electrical power lines. And their vehicles is too high to be trying to back up into our properties because of the lines.
All right. Thank you. Do we have anyone from the audience for public comments? All right, at this time, Sean, who do we have online?
We have Beulah Williams.
Good evening, Council, Mayor, Deputy Mayor. Oh, Mayor is not there. Council and Township Manager, citizens, everyone, good evening. I just have, 8 Botany Circle. My daughter just reminded me. I just have one question, please. I know that many township employees complained about their insurance, lack thereof of coverage, and how they're suffering. My girlfriend, for instance, she couldn't wait for the new insurance to kick in August, I think. And she had to have serious surgery, which she's recuperating right now. But a lot of bills have accumulated, and I want to know, is this new insurance gonna cover any of the undue expenses that occurred on this mediocre insurance that they now have? My heart goes out to her and to all the people who complained about, the insurance inadequately covering their illnesses. And I would like to know, is there any stipulation where they could get some help from this insurance before the new one, which it has more comprehensive coverage, sets in? Thank you so much. And I wait to hear the answer. You're welcome. And God bless you, everyone.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Sean, do we have anyone else?
Yes, Anna Cotton.
Hello, good evening. I appreciate the opportunity to speak. This is Anna Payanzo Cotton from 29 Noland Lane. I am here speaking on behalf of the Willingboro Public Library. And I just want to remind folks that we are here, we're your township library. We are committed to serving the public, and we're grateful for the partnership with the township in order to continue to bring services to the community. If you haven't spent some time on our website or haven't had a chance to visit our Facebook page recently, I encourage you to check out some of our programs. We have a number of resources. We've got in-person workshops available. We have also virtual workshops. We've got Dungeons and Dragons. We've got Storytime for Tots. We have a Parkinson's group, and we have everything kind of spanning the gamut of resources available for our community members. And so I just want to take a moment to remind you that you can visit us at willingboro.org and to follow us on social media. And thank you all again for coming through the doors, and thank you to the township for your continued partnership and support to ensure that the physical space is thriving and that that this resource is available for the community. And that's all I'll share for this evening. Thank you all very much. I appreciate the time and wish you all a good evening.
Thank you, Anna. Sean, who else do we have?
I think I saw Shirley Dilworth.
Good evening, everyone. Okay. Thank you for this opportunity, to speak to the township leaders and the residents of Willingboro. I want to take this opportunity to invite the entire community to come out to our church to worship with us on Good Friday. My church is Parkway Baptist Church. We are a very active organization in town, and I just want to take this time to invite all of you to come out to worship with us as we are coming up on the end of this Lenten season. Our Good Friday service will be held on March 29th at 6 p.m. And the name of the church again is Parkway Baptist Church and is located at the corner of Martin Luther King Drive and Pennypacker Driveway. And before I forget, I live at Newport Lane. Thank you for listening to me, and I hope to see some of you out worshiping with us for our Good Friday service. Thanks again, and have a good evening.
Thank you, Ms. Dilworth. Sean, do we have anyone else?
Yes, Tarina Williams.
Thank you. Tarina Williams, 8 Botany Circle. Good evening, Deputy Mayor Anderson, Councilwoman Dr. Tiffany Worthy, Councilwoman Rebecca Perron, Mr. Harris, and I'm sorry, I forgot her name, Township Clerk, and community residents. I want to say once again, happy Women's Appreciation Month to all the women, dedicated women of our township. Thank you so much for your hard work and service, making our township the good place that it is. I also wanted to inform you that next Monday will be Purple Day in honor of epilepsy. I am one of millions of people who lives with epilepsy. And if you don't already know how to give first aid to people who have epilepsy, I would encourage you to go online to educate yourself, please. And then if possible, wear purple in honor of the many people that have epilepsy. In addition to that, I wanted to also invite you to our church, Willingboro Seventh-day Adventist Church, located at 201 Veterans Parkway. We worship on Saturdays at 9:30 and 11 at St. Paul United Methodist Church. We're having a special mental health day on April the 20th. I'll announce it again, but just I know how busy everyone gets. So in case you have plans by that time, our next council meeting, I wanted to share this with you now. Our health talks are Tuesdays at 7 to 8 p.m. The meeting ID is 871-0209-5223. And the passcode is Adventist, capital A, DVENTIST. Next week, we'll have a guest speaker who's a nutritionist in honor of National Nutrition Month for the month of March. They will be our guest speaker. So please, if you can, join us. Let's see. I think that is it. Thank you so much. May God richly bless you.
Thank you, Ms. Williams.
You're welcome, Deputy Mayor Anderson. Thank you.
Sean, do we have anyone else?
Yes, Russell and Johnny Waller.
Hello. Good evening, everyone. This is Russell and Joni Waller.
Good evening.
6 Troy Lane. We are the small street that everyone is talking about between Beech Nut and Tiffany Lane. I had something that I wanted to specifically read. However, we are concerned because there's so much traffic coming through. We've been residents since 1996. The planter was up there. And everything that everyone is saying is absolutely correct. We're seeing an increased amount of traffic. Yeah, last week we almost saw someone get T-boned because there are no stop signs. The planter was up there. High school traffic is coming through morning, midday, evening, an excessive amount. As everyone else said that they have grandchildren, we have grandchildren as well. And our concern is that someone is going to get seriously hit by a car because it's, no one is considerate of anybody else. And do you have anything? Because there was something I wanted to say as well.
This is Russell Waller. My wife, Joni, was just speaking. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. We just wanted to mention, like everyone else, that this particular area has become very dangerous as far as travel because it is a kind of a easy way to get into the high school sometimes. And what happens, it just makes the traffic volume really, really high. And so at that rate, it becomes much more dangerous. And so we just would like some help and some attention on that.
And in the past, we have written our neighbors did do a petition. It's been several years because we could see this happening in the making. So we did ask for some help earlier in the past, but I know that they were saying that the township trucks have to come through, but we have seen very little of those. And then the ones, as Johnny was saying, we've seen several of them try, not necessarily wanting to, but they've taken, looks like they're going to take some power lines down, and even the FedEx trucks come through and the Amazon trucks, they all come through speeding. So if you could possibly consider, please, 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 putting the planter back, I think all of us, and even our neighbors on Tiffany that are right in front of Troy, they would be
More than happy.
more than happy.
And it'll make it much safer also.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Waller. Sean, do we have anyone else?
Not at this time.
Sorry to interrupt.
1 second. All right, with no one else online, I'm going to end the online for now. One quick question. We will get to that in a few minutes. All right, with no other public comments is now closed. So I'm going to ask the township manager to address the questions that he can address, particularly pertaining to the Martins Beach situation.
This is the Beech Nut Lane, right?
Yes.
And it's in Martins Beach.
Yes.
So Mr. Tunstall was just reminding me that we had a conversation about this of my early arrivals into Willingboro. And I just commented back to him that we will have a discussion about it tomorrow. I will be down on Beech Nut Lane and Troy Lane tomorrow to actually put eyes on the situation because I'm not really familiar. I don't know why there was a planter box there and why it was removed, so I would have to do the history. But we will look at it and see what are some viable options to alleviate the issues that the residents are suffering there.
Okay. Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Harris. As you heard, the township manager is going to go out physically, put eyes on the situation, make an assessment, and see what the viable options are. All right, so once again, what we can promise as a council is that you are being heard. The manager will get back to you, and let's see what we can work on collectively that makes sense for both you, the residents, and us, the township.
One comment regarding this issue. With my review of the photographs, the sidewalk that was supposed to be there is demolished and damaged. Isn't that the township's responsibility for the sidewalk to replace any broken materials on the curb?
See, sidewalks belong to Willingboro, yes.
So I did some of those, some of the photos that I saw, that's something that definitely, I would recommend not going out by yourself, but maybe bringing the township. No, I saw like concrete curve.
Concrete at the substation, very little, it's tar, and it's on a slant.
Roll curve.
Road, right, and that's what I'm speaking of. That needs to be, that should be better, properly prepared. Like, it looks sloppy, it looks right. So that's what I'm speaking of, that, you saw the photos, right, Mr.
I
Harris?
didn't look at the photos, but I will be there tomorrow morning to look at it physically.
So I'm speaking about that area, and it needs, it,
A lot of that happened after same big PSE&G trucks came
okay.
en route. There were trees down, they went through everybody's yard.
Mhm.
Never addressed.
And then anything that's loose, snow plows just kick it right out, 'cause it's already broken.
Mhm.
Gets picked up by them.
All right, thank you. Yes.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Mr. Harris, when you go tomorrow, I was wondering if you take public safety with you. If someone from the police department, fire, and EMS would be available to go. I do remember when the planters were removed in 2020, the township manager at the time had gone to visit and had received complaints about fire and EMS not being able to access that part of the community. And that information was relayed back to the council. We weren't anticipating all the concerns that came later, but what was presented at the time was that the fire trucks could not access Martins Beach.
Did for 42 years.
Thank you. So that's the information that was brought to us. And then based on that, public safety, emergency management, everybody, they came together and made that decision. But so Mr. Harris, if you take, a coalition with you, as you take pictures and evaluate based on the size of the vehicles we have today versus the size of the vehicles 40 years ago, we certainly want to make sure that the residents' property isn't damaged. We do want them to be safe. But if you could just keep that in mind during your visit tomorrow.
Okay, so I have our fire chief here, Chief Burnett. We have our public safety director, Captain Ian Bucks. We have our inspections, Mr. Tunstall, and we have representatives from DPW, and I'm going to convene you all at Beach Nut Lane at 9 o'clock in the morning, and we will look at this tomorrow.
Thank you, Mr. Harris. And then how will the residents of Martins Beach be informed? So that was their concern, is once you take a look and the coalition descends upon the space, how can, how will that communication?
So we will come back and share our findings with the governing body and let you know what our recommendations are and proposals are. And if you are in agreement with that, we will move forward with those, and then we will notify the residents as well.
Okay, I just want them to know what, whatever those recommendations are so that we stay open. Would you like their email addresses or phone numbers or something before we leave tonight? Just to open it up.
So I have pretty much the addresses. I'll slip my card in your mailboxes, so you'll have a way to get in touch with me directly, or Mr. Lowry's card.
Thank you, Mr. Harris. I appreciate that.
All right, and for the resident at 21 Beach Nut, was that Maria or was that a Lori? The name, your first? Maria. Okay, so I just want to say Maria, Mr. and Mr. Hunter, Sherry, that's John Burton. I got a Jean, I got another John, and I know Rich. We heard you. thank you for coming out. Thank you for addressing us, and we will be in contact with you to work on this resolve. Thank you. All right, so, next on my list. Ms. Bueller Williams, she just pretty much called to give us an update. She had asked a question regarding the employee and the insurance. Would you like to answer that?
So I really can't answer too much about an employee's insurance and in healthcare. I don't even know the employee we're relating to. But if she wants to instruct her friend, whoever it is, to contact my office, then we can see if we can help her any further.
Okay. And Ms. Anna Cotton just was giving us information regarding the public library. Ms. Shirley Dilworth invited us out to Good Friday over at Parkway Baptist on March 29th at 6 p.m. Ms. Tarina Williams was telling us about an event that they're going to have on 4/20, which she'll bring back some updates, and to remind us that Monday 3/25 was Purple Day in honor of epilepsy. And I believe that's all that I have. Do you guys have anything that I didn't cover? All right. So at this time, I'm going to see if there are any council comments.
I have a comment. So my comments relating to the Ethical Standards Board. Again, as far as I'm concerned, we have township codes. We hold responsible that we enforce the laws, and therefore we too should follow the laws. And to Miss Maggie, our solicitor, you said that you were confused by the sentence that says 34-7. There is hereby established Willingboro Township Council Ethical Standards Board consisting of 6 members who are residents of the township, at least 2 of whom shall be public members. That public members, what that means is we have people who work for the township and also live in the township. So the council cannot just appoint people of the employees to be on this board. The reason the board exists is to create fairness and to make sure that we are enforcing proper ethical behavior on the council's level, as well as the supervisor level, as well as the people that live here, that they are being respected and treated equally and fairly. Now, I know it's not something that most people want to follow, ethics, but what I'm expecting from you, Miss Maggie, is that by our next meeting, and I sent you the email again, I emailed you our codes. Your responsibility is not to vote with council. Your responsibility, and while we're paying you to be here, is to enforce the law and to help guide us understand the law. And from what the law that I just read is very clear. It's not something that I'm confused about. And again, I've already contacted the ethics board. And they explained to me, if you don't have one, then yes, you can come to us. We have one. And if you don't have one, you can create one. We don't need to create one because we have one. But what's not going to be acceptable from the sitting council members, Councilman Worthy, Deputy Mayor Nat Anderson, what you're not going to continue to do is ignore the applicants. It's still not 4 minutes in. You can keep looking at the clock. It's not 4 minutes yet. People who have applied, 3 people from this township have applied, and they deserve the right to be appointed to this position. And if you have any objections to it, then speak. So your objection to that, you're trying to figure out what ethics is, you're trying to figure out if you want to create it, that's a confused statement because no one's asked you, Deputy Mayor, to create the ethics board. Why not? Because here it is, 34-7. A, whereby established the Willingboro Township Council Ethics Board consists of 6. 3 people have applied, Deputy Mayor. 3 people. Okay? So you can perform unethical behavior anywhere else. But here, I'm going to hold you to it. I'm going to hold you to our standards, the Township Code Book. Same to you, Councilman Worthy. I know you sit there, you're very quiet right now because you don't want any governance of ethics, do you? Do you? But guess what? It's not going to be allowed. Okay, and I'm hoping that the rest of the community, my email is rperrone willingboro.nj.gov. If you are interested in applying, please submit your citizen leadership application, okay? And any one of you are eligible to apply. We just need 6. We currently have 3, okay? And I'm expecting that, just no different than you elected me to this seat, I'm expecting you to help me help the council and the people who we've hired here to behave ethically. So that concludes my statement.
Thank you for your comments, Councilwoman Perone. Yes, Dr. Worthy.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. I wanted to give a congratulations to the Willingboro Panthers recreation cheerleaders who traveled to Atlanta, Georgia, and secured a first and second place win. For some of the girls, it was their first time getting to Atlanta and being able to travel to represent our community. So shout out to all of those cheerleaders who are doing wonderful things, young girls in the community with their families traveling. It's beautiful to see the successes of Willingboro, no matter how hard we may want to focus on negativity or bringing one another down. We just won't do that. Willingboro High School cheerleaders were in Greensboro, North Carolina. They secured some victories down there. So exciting times for Willingboro. So that's our high school and our recreation division. Also, I wanted to highlight that Senator Singleton is having a program on March 27th to address mental health for female veterans. And it's an event that will be held at the Borough Epicenter in Willingboro, right in East Ridge Plaza. It's a free event and registration is required. There will be lunch there. There will be several panelists there to focus on mental health in women as we celebrate Women's History Month. So I'm excited about the wonderful things that are happening in Willingboro. My email address is tworthy@willingboro.nj.gov. If you have questions or concerns, if you have challenges in the community, I am excited and more than willing to help you to navigate Willingboro. Also, remember we have the Willingboro Connect app. You can download that app. You're able to share different concerns, issues, keep up with different events happening in the community. And you can also register for the Willingboro Wednesday weeklies that come out each week to share all the wonderful things that are happening in our beautiful community. Thank you, Deputy Mayor.
All right. Councilwoman Whitfield, do you have any comments?
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. I wanted to thank all the residents for coming out this week. Thank you to the residents of Martins Beach for coming and bringing your concerns, and I'm confident that the township manager will do as he says and assess the situation and come up with strategies how we can improve that situation there. I also did want to just make the community and the residents that are on tonight about 2 events that are coming up. One on April 20th, our biannual Clean Community Spring Cleanup. That will take place at 9 a.m. in front of JFK, and it is a wonderful opportunity for residents to come together and help ensure our community is clean and beautiful for the spring and summer season as the weather gets warmer. And then also on April 27th, we have our volunteer fair coming up. Different organizations in the municipality will be hosting tables and looking for volunteers and all of the different organizations that help our community be great, and catering to different stakeholders in the community. So we look forward to folks coming and being present there as well. That is all I have tonight, Deputy Mayor, and thank you so much.
All right, thank you, Councilwoman Whitfield. I would like to just thank everyone for coming out, voicing your concerns. And sir, I apologize if you was a little nervous. I'm just going to take it as if it was your first time and nothing else. All right. This week on Monday, myself and Mayor McIntosh had the opportunity to attend the U.S. Conference of Mayors, where they had given us some information on the upcoming legislative actions, as well as President Biden's proposed budget for 2020-15. I have shared that with the council colleagues. I will make sure you get a copy as well, Mr. Manager. Congratulations again to Mr. Harris and his team for doing an outstanding job on the budget. You know, just keep up the good work. We appreciate everything that you've done since you've been here as far as it relates to the budget, being responsible, making sure the departments are running efficiently and spending less at the same time. So just thank you very much for that. All right, and for the council colleagues, there was an email sent out this evening regarding some upcoming dates to conduct interviews for the clerk candidate. So the email's a little confusing, so just for clarification, we put out several dates. We need to select 3 dates. Each candidate, which was 3 candidates, will have 45 minutes. So we're looking to submit 3 dates to the deputy clerk so that we can begin that interview process. All right, that's it for council comments. The next order of business is I would like to make a motion for executive session.
You're making a motion?
I made the motion.
Okay, second.
All right.
Councilwoman Perone,
Yes.
Councilwoman Whitfield,
Yes.
Councilwoman Dr. Worthy,
Yes.
and Deputy Mayor Anderson.
Yes, and the solicitor will provide a statement.
There will be executive session tonight for matters falling under NJSA 10-412B subsections 7 and 8 for matters involving contracts and personnel.
All right, so thank you very much. At this time, I would like to ask Sean if he can send an executive link to Councilwoman Whitfield for executive. All right, we may come out to vote on something, we may not. You can feel free to hang around. If not, you can always replay the Zoom. All right, thank you guys for coming out. Have a great evening. And we will come back after executive. All right, can I get a motion to come out of executive session? Is she on? She hit me with, okay.
Second.
Councilwoman Perone, Councilwoman Whitfield,
Yes.
Councilwoman Dr. Worthy,
Yes.
and Deputy Mayor Anderson.
Yes. All right, we're coming out of executive session. There was nothing to vote on. So at this time, I'd like to make a motion for adjournment.
We are now.
Second.
adjourned. My apologies.
She seconded. You made a motion and Councilwoman Whitfield second.
So we just need a all in favor.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I'm waiting. I'm waiting.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I'm sorry. We are now adjourned. It is 9:26 PM.